Derek Delgadio's In and of Itself. What a show. Right off the bat, I'll be 100% honest, I don't want to spoil a single bit of this performance. I really don't. Anything I spoil, I think, will take away from the power that it has. So I'm going to try my best to give you just a brief review, just my brief thoughts on how good it is and why it's so good without saying anything about it. This will be fun. In and of Itself is I believe it's an off-Broadway one-man show that ran for a good couple of years from 2018 onward. I think it ended in 2020, and it's Derek Delgadio's one-man show, and it ran for 500 plus performances. Everybody from Bill Gates to David Blaine, so many famous people went and saw this show. It was the talk of New York City. Stephen Colbert, who actually had Delgadio on his show, was an executive producer. Him and his wife Evie were producers on this filmed version. This is incredible. I'm not familiar with a lot of one-man shows. I'll be perfectly honest. It's not my department, so my knowledge of them is very limited. So I'm sure there's many people who will who are connoisseurs of that who will tell me what is exactly wrong with Delgadio's show, if there is anything wrong with it. But one of the most creative ways, without being flashy, I would say, it's not a super flashy, super over-the-top kind of ego experiment. It's a very stripped back, honest portrayal of his life, but also discussing the themes of identity and perception, how other people's perceptions of ourselves affect us, and vice versa, and how we all see ourselves. It's beautiful, and it's separated into a number of parts with stories, and there is some magic in there. There is some magic. I first came across Derek Delgadio because he was just, I suppose, a normal magician. He was doing card tricks. He was doing this thing, it was called the Truffle Shuffle, which was something he created. A full deck false shuffle, which, if you're not familiar with what a false shuffle is, I'm sure you really don't need to know. I'm sure you don't really care. But that's how I knew Derek. I knew him as an intelligent, extremely intelligent magician, and now after seeing this show, it's clear to me that he is he's an extremely deep thinker. The way this show is constructed is absolutely incredible. It's really hard not to just tell you everything that happens because it is so wonderful. I would say the closest kind of comparison would be something like Springsteen on Broadway, if you've seen that on Netflix. Another great one-man show, but in the same way, for me, Springsteen on Broadway wasn't about seeing Bruce Springsteen get up and perform a bunch of his songs. It wasn't really about that. His performance of the songs were anecdotal to him telling a story. He'll tell a story and he'll play a song, and him playing that song and having told that story will make you see this song in maybe a new light, in maybe a new way. And that's always really interesting. And I think Derek does the exact same thing here with his show. The magic, what magic there is in it, yes, it's impressive. You know, as a magician, I watch him perform and I'm amazed by his technical expertise, his technical discipline that he's clearly achieved. But honestly, for the first time, I'm not looking at his sleight of hand. I'm not so much admiring that. I'm too invested to admire the technicality of it, because the stories do grab me. You know, it's not just here's a card trick, here's me dealing hands of poker, it's a gambling demonstration, as I'm sure a lot of magicians, you know, we're sick of the gambling demonstrations, but here he creates this story, this narrative, which relates back to his own life. He talks about his own life, and he talks about it in the wider theme of the show. It's a theme. It's a themed show that's autobiographical. It just does so many things at once. I'm rambling. I know I'm rambling, but it's so good. It's so good. Frank Oz directs, and something that I'm very happy to see, and I first noticed it in Hamilton, is not just filming it from audience perspective, from out in the crowd, from up above, you know, creating some distance, but there are times when the camera is right up on stage with him, right in his face, creating very cinematic shots. It seemed like they shot this anamorphic because you get those lovely straight line lens flares. Gorgeous production, absolutely gorgeous, and I think that really adds to it, because there are times whenever it switches and does a more traditional, you know, kind of get the shots, make sure everything's in frame. Those really take it to another level when it does go into that very cinematic idea. And the fact that it's not, you know, I bring it up again, the fact that it's not just a magic show. It really isn't. If it was a magic show, I don't think I would have been left crying my eyes out at the end. That's the effect. You know, you watch the trailer and you go, what's happening here? Is Derek DeGaudio the second coming of Christ? Like, what's going on? But then you watch it and you realize, no. No, it's really, as a matter of fact, it's not about him. The show is him sharing his life, but it's so much of it is about the audience also partaking in that and them going through their own experience watching him. It's a really, really beautiful show. I hope my rambling has inspired you to go out and watch it, because it is supreme. It is so, so good. Probably one of the best of 2021. I wouldn't be surprised if it gets into my top 10 films list, if I can consider it I suppose a narrative-based film. I'll see what happens whenever I eventually do upload that, but yeah,